very last paragraph, I'll read it into the record. Mr. Biden's memory also appeared to have significant limitations, both at the time he spoke to Zwanitzer in 2017, as evidenced by their recorded conversations, and today, as evidenced by his recorded interview with our office. Mr. Biden's recorded conversations with Zwanitzer from 2017 are often painfully slow, with Mr. Biden struggling to remember events and straining at times to read and relay his own notebook entries. Do you recall any specific conversations regarding this paragraph?
Not that I can recall, no, of anything specific to that. It wouldn't surprise me if there had been some, but I can't recall any.
But kind of in the same bucket as the first one, that the White House counsel's office was objecting to the characterization of his memory as being important to the special counsel's decision.
Maybe just rereading that paragraph, it seems to be about. I don't know is the bottom line. I don't know if it was similar to that.
And then page 247.
Yep.
The very, very bottom, there's a sentence, the last line starts, "For these jurors." Do you see that? It's
247?
Yes. It's the very last line.
Oh, I see. Sorry. Yes. Thank you.
So it goes on to 248, but I'll read it. "For these jurors, Mr. Biden's apparent lapses and failures in February and April 2017 will likely appear consistent with the diminished faculties and faulty memory he showed in Zwanitzer's interview recordings and in our interview of him. Therefore, we conclude that the evidence does not establish that Mr. Biden willfully disclosed national defense information to Zwanitzer." I mean, in this paragraph, the special counsel directly links Mr. Biden's diminished faculties and faulty memory with the decision to not prosecute him for willfully disclosing national defense information. Would you agree?
I'm not sure I would agree with that, just because that's the full conclusion of this entire section, and without reading all of it, I mean, I can look even before, there is also evidence that Mr. Biden took some steps to avoid sharing classified information. I'm not sure that that's exactly what that is intending to convey. I'm not the special counsel, he would have to answer that. But it seems more like that is one of many things that they considered as part of the decision.
Do you disagree with the special counsel's statement that it's consistent with the diminished faculties and faulty memory he showed in Zwanitzer's interview recordings and in our interview of him?
I
think he has a basis to.
I know he doesn't have a basis. He met the president 3 times.
No, I'm saying he doesn't have a basis because he doesn't have, he hasn't reviewed the evidence underlying.
He reviewed the tape and the transcript.
I think that I can say that was something that we objected to, the characterization and the language that he used there, especially as someone who had reviewed the transcript, which obviously was public. It didn't seem like that sort of pejorative kind of description lined up with what had happened in the course of the interview to make such a sweeping sort of assessment. I think that was the view that I was representing as the spokesperson. That was the view of the president and his legal team, as we've talked about in the letters that they presented.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Sanders, there was speculation that you were hired specifically to combat and answer questions or combat our investigation of the Biden influence peddling schemes. In other words, to focus solely on the oversight aspect of the Biden investigation. Is that a fair statement?
I was brought in to respond to the investigations from a communications and press perspective.
Was that the sole reason you were brought in, just to respond to the investigation? Because isn't it unusual to have 2 press secretaries, Jean-Pierre as well as you?
It's not unusual that different press people or communications people would have different portfolios. For example, the National Security Council has a spokesperson that is, the lead sort of spokesperson for their issues. I was brought in as the lead press and communications person to handle oversight and investigations.
There was speculation that maybe Jean-Pierre wasn't firm enough or whatever. Would that be a fair statement? So they brought you in to be a bulldog, so to speak.
I think I'm fairly nice. I don't think I'm a bulldog, but no, I understand what you're asking.
Yeah.
I think that is not my sense of why that happened. In fact, when I started in the White House, Jen Psaki was still the White House press secretary, for example. So it wasn't that wasn't an issue at the time.
Was Jean-Pierre upset? There was, I think, some speculation that she was upset when they brought you in, and she would have to, if they asked a question about the investigation, she would have to step back and let you answer the question. Do you ever sense any anger?
Absolutely not. Not from my perspective with her. We were friendly and got along well.
We have, I believe, Exhibit 3 or 4. Is it 4? It was a tweet, and it was something you repeatedly said throughout your opportunity behind the White House podium that we had no evidence in the investigation. Obviously, we were investigating money that the Biden family had taken in from foreign sources. And in the tweet, you specifically stated, and I quote, having repeatedly proven his lack of credibility, don't fall for James Comer stunts. I'm wondering, what stunts were you referring to?
I'm trying to sort of recall what this was about. And it may, I mean, in the memo, it's possible that it goes through that. That's screenshot there. It's a little fuzzy, so I can't.
Are you able to read the memo?
I can't see the memo itself. I can only really read the content of that tweet. I think I can answer the question generally. I think generally what I was communicating there was that throughout the course of the investigation, there were times where maybe there were overstatements about documents or witness testimony or things like that didn't back up, when the rubber met the road, what had
Do you
been said.
remember specifically an instance of that?
Well, it says in the first sentence there, what I was referring to here was the gentleman who I understand was subsequently indicted federally for lying about the Bidens had, if I recall correctly, had been the source of an interview with the FBI that was documented in a form that the FBI uses that I remember the committee was asking for.
He was indicted for lying about Joe Biden?
That's my understanding.